paper.
The initial format was cold reads, wasn't it? But hey,
766, written by Chris Townsend.
are we recording?
We are recording. Exterior school estate day. Whack! A small, weedy guy is slapped. His glasses fly towards us as he falls to the floor. Floyd is 14 and a bully magnet. Over him loom 3 thugs, sports gear, overly gelled hair. It's after school, bags, books, teens milling about, plenty of onlookers, among them a group of girls laugh. Floyd cries out as one of the thugs delivers a hard kick. Ah, so Android Floyd does have a real human feelings, fucking weirdo. Watching in horror as another kick is delivered is Tommy, 14, sandy-haired and charismatic, and Alec, 14, shaved-headed, toned, clothes just on the verge of being too tatty.
This ain't right.
Tommy, don't. I don't want to.
But Tommy has already dropped his carrier bag, spilling the pieces of a handmade board game. He runs towards the scene, knowing he can't win. He picks up a loose tree branch.
Tommy!
Alec considers, weighs up the consequences, and gives chase as Tommy cracks the branch over the back of one of the bullies.
Fuck off.
Attention quickly turns to Tommy and Alec, while Floyd rides abandoned. It's messy, violent. Alec and Tommy are losing. One of the teenage girls, Tasha, 14, heavily made up, big hoop earrings, cigarette, takes a step forward, no longer laughing. In fact, there's a flash of guilt in her eyes. Tash, what are you doing?
This isn't funny.
It's only Floyd.
Yeah, well, he's still a fucking person, isn't he? I'm not going to stand and watch.
She approaches, waving her arms.
Hey, leave him alone.
She
Stop.
tries to put herself, She tries to put herself in the middle of the chaos and is shoved into a passing younger boy on a skateboard. They collide and fall. The board breaks. This is Zach, 12, an acne-ridden emo. He looks at his broken board, assesses it for a moment.
You dicks.
He charges into the fray using the board as a weapon. Skulking towards the scene is a bulky goth, 15, leather jacket, new rock boots. He pauses, watches, then dives in. The heavy boots kick the knee of one of the bullies. The fight is chaos, impossible to see, to tell the victors. Cut to same later. The 6 sit, beaten, bloody. Floyd is in particular bad shape. Strangers united in pain. Tasha and the goth Frank smoke. Tommy turns to them. Caption 2004.
Frank, right? Thanks for stepping in. Brick's had it coming. Been giving me grief for a while, too. Looks like wee man here was doing all the work, though.
Zach gives a thumbs up, holding his bloody nose.
What's your name, half pint?
Zachy.
You didn't have to help, Tasha.
Tasha shrugs.
I've got 2 little brothers. It's no problem.
She looks at Tommy sweetly, then at Alec.
You're new.
Alec, it's my 2nd week.
Floyd, don't walk home alone from now on, okay? Walk with us, if it helps.
Really?
I'll join. Give me an excuse. Sorry.
Tommy?
Sorry. Cool, yeah, like a protection detail.
He puts his hand in. Alex joins Zach, Frank.
This is lame.
She joins anyway.
Thank you, all of you.
A chubby boy wearing a Simpsons t-shirt approaches.
Tommy!
Oh, great.
I was looking for you. I thought we were walking. Ooh, what happened?
Well, now, we got into a fight, and statistically, one of us is probably going to piss blood.
Matt doesn't know what to do with that. Instead, he turns his attention to the slightly crumpled box in the carrier bag.
What's in the bag?
Tommy pulls out the board game.
Something I'm making for design class. Have a look if you want.
Nathaniel takes the box, examines it, opens the lid, cut to the gentle clunk and whisper of a car boot opening, reveal 4 faces, stare down, framed in daylight. Alec, Frank, Nathaniel, and Zach, now all mid-30s, all dressed in black. Angle on a coffin in the back of a hearse. We are exterior funeral home crematorium day. Next to the car stands an undertaker, elderly, somber.
No, gentlemen, I'll ask you to pair up. Slowly we will slide the casket out and we will lift together. When we bear the load, each pair will link arms like this.
He demonstrates with Alec, now slightly overweight, tired, looks older than he is, and barely holding it together. Far cry from the lean boy he was before.
Then with the other hand, you will grasp the handles firmly. Take your time. There is no rush. I will help and guide you. If anyone feels uncomfortable at any point, say so immediately so we can coordinate accordingly. The important thing is that we take our time and treat the process with the respect and dignity that it deserves.
Interior funeral home crematorium day. Attendance is sparse. The whole affair seems sadder for it. The four men follow the undertaker, carrying the coffin between them, each struggling in their own way, all just concentrating on placing one foot in front of the other. Among the scattered guests, Alec spots Tasha. She's now punky, tattooed, tomboy attractive, face strewn with tears. She smiles and waves somewhat awkwardly. Alec looks surprised. He smiles back, and then his face changes, his smile morphing to disgust. He sniffs, starts to gag. Next to him, Zach, now very tall, surfer-esque good looks, stifles a cough, eyes watering. In front, Frank, now the shortest, bearded, barrel-chested, his stockiness now full fat, confused, turns his head slightly. Next to him in a whisper with his pale, paunchy, hand-dog expression.
I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
How? Now?
You know what happens. I'm sorry.
Go to a doctor.
He continues to gag. Zach coughs, the coffin slips an inch. Alec tugs him back in, links his arm in tight.
Ride it out.
I can't breathe, dude.
Then breathe through your mouth. Chew it if you have to.
A few more steps under the mourner's scrutiny as they too start to notice the smell, reacting appalled until, blessedly, they lay the coffin on the altar. Alec and Zach let out fits of coughing, turn away, breathing deeply of any clean air available. Zach gestures to the coffin.
Oh, I bet even he smelt that.
Interior, same later. Alec stands at the pulpit. He looks down at Frank, sitting with his wife, Janie, a large, overbearing woman. Zach and Nathaniel next to them. Tasha remains at the back. Behind Alec, on a screen, an image of an adult Tommy. He smiles while driving a sailboat. Alec glances at the hip flask he's discreetly placed nearby. Awkward and nervous, he finally speaks.
Bear with me, I'm not good with words. That was Tommy's thing.
The barest of laughs from the guests. Alec fiddles with some scrawled notes and reads, totally out of his comfort zone.
Tommy was a problem solver. He said it was his superpower. Maths, puzzles, video games. Present him with a problem or a question and he'd solve it. He could figure out people too. Always knew just the right thing to say, the right thing to do, how to solve the problem. Our friend Floyd, who couldn't be here today,
Frank snorts at this. Janie digs her nails into his knee.
is proof of that. Tommy was always there, always knew what to do, except I suppose this time he couldn't. I guess the only problems he couldn't solve were his own.
Alec takes in the face as the tears, struggles on.
He was honest to a fault and loyal. A long time ago, he helped me too. I fell out of the world for a while, got into some bad habits, and Tommy pulled me out. He opened up my life again.
A small smile dances across Tasha's face.
He helped me become a better version of who I could be. He was there for me, for us all, as best as he could be. So I guess all I can do now is be as good as I can be to honor him. That's all any of us can do. He was my best friend, and I'm going to miss him a lot.
Exterior funeral home crematorium day. A scattering of leaving mourners, condolences, small talk. Alec paces alone in the car park, flask now in hand. He drinks deeply, holding his phone to his ear. A few rings and then...
Hello? Where the fuck are you? I'm sorry, Tommy's funeral. His funeral. And you couldn't even be bothered to turn up.
Intercut with interior Floyd's flat, same time. The cozy, cluttered slice of chaos. Floyd, still small, nervous mumbler, holds the phone tightly, almost terrified. His fiancée, Sally, mousy, dull, but sweet, looks on with a frown.
Sally has to work tomorrow. We couldn't make it there and back. Hotels and things. Zach flew in from fucking Germany. You have no excuse. I know, I'm sorry. Get a train, a taxi, a fucking horse for all I care. Sally didn't need to be here. You did. I'm sorry, Alec. I just didn't think. I suppose I could have caught a train. What is wrong with you? This is Tommy, man. After everything we've all done for you, I could come up next week, maybe. Don't even bother. You've shown your priorities. Fuck you, Floyd.
Alec hangs up. We stay on Floyd for a moment. He looks like he's about to cry as Sally approaches.
Alec,
Floyd nods.
we should have gone, you know, we could have. I told you that, Hannah. I was waiting for you.
I know, I just couldn't.
He wipes away tears. Sally draws him into a hug. Exterior funeral home, crematorium day. Alec shoves his phone in his pocket, furious. He polishes off the contents of his flask. He turns. Tasha stands behind him, somewhat awkward. It's been a long time.
Lloyd.
Something that never changed, right?
Alec looks over at Frank, Nat, and Zach. Frank's laugh is booming and attention grabbing, and he flips the two of them a bird. Tasha fires it right back and smiles. The three start heading over in a cloud of Nat's vape smoke.
No, I guess they don't. It's good to see you.
She falls into his arms. He holds her tight.
Likewise. It's a nice surprise.
Sorry, I didn't let you know. It was last minute. I saw your post.
He holds her arm at arm's length.
You didn't fly all the way in for this, did you?
No, I was back already for a while. Time lined up. Luckily, well, not. You know what I mean.
Work still dry.
Still recovering for now.
I'm really glad you came.
Sorry, I've been out of touch.
We all have. Some things do change, I guess. How long are you back for?
A while. Got a lot of pints to catch up on.
Alec looks over at the already dwindling mourners.
I can't imagine it'll last very long. Guest list is pretty small.
A moment. Tasha releases a fresh burst of tears. Alec puts his arms around her.
Brace yourself. Here they come.
The guys reach them. Zach snatches Tash away and sweeps her up in a hug. She laughs as they pile onto her. Interior pub function room night. Nat, Zach, Tasha and Janie pack away a lot of leftover food. Frank is slowly passing out on a chair. Alec simply sits drinking. It's quiet. There's not much to say. Finally.
It was a nice service, Alec. Alec?
What?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Glad you liked it.
They continue to clean.
What on earth was he thinking? Stupid, stupid man.
She doesn't notice the disapproving looks.
Did anyone see Xanthi?
And I think that's
The end?
the end of our
The
song.
end.
Thank you. I'm just going to go
Fancy.
back and check something. I noticed a mention of a vape. And
Yeah.
we're in 2004.
Ah.
I think they were not around in 2004.
No,
They were not.
no.
So
No,
that,
I think that 2004 was like I think there's a flashback with when they're kids and then it comes to present day.
Ah.
But I
let's
don't know
just
that
say
that's
later. 2004, Frank. Thanks for. Yeah, maybe that's confusing then in that case.
yeah, it is.
Mm.
In that case, we need a little bit of delineation about the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was mostly what I noticed, really. Sounds could do with being in caps.
Mhm.
Other than that, I think it's clearly there's clearly a relationship between these guys. Aside from the fact that you're obviously going to have to cast kids at the start and then
Yeah.
adults for them.
Yeah.
Which depending on the budget just pumps the budget up. But you know, neither here nor there. I would just like to know more about. I'd just like to see more of their relationship with each other. Really, I think
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
main comment. If they're really good buddies, I want to really see that cemented in. But you know, I'm going to leave it up to you guys. What do you think?
I mean, we went from a beating, so effectively them all forming the gang, to a funeral.
Mm.
I'm gonna make a huge assumption here, but I'm going to assume the rest of the story is filling in the gap. Otherwise, it's a hell of a jump with no story.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm
Yeah, yeah.
curious.
Yeah, I think we'll be finding out why Tommy killed himself, and the where the kind of breakdown in the friendships happened for that to end up being the case.
Was it definitely a suicide though, or was it like he'd done something dangerous?
I think it's implied.
Yes, when she says, when Jamie says, you know,
Yeah.
She says he's
why
stupid.
did he do something so stupid?
Oh, so I thought he'd just done something ridiculous.
Yeah.
But,
He'd done something and he died as a result of it. So it's not necessarily a suicide, but it could just be suicidal.
yeah. No, I mean, I think it was nice. It's funny. You know, I think the characters are sort of, you know, separate from each other. I think, you know, I can see who's who pretty well, even though we were all reading several different people. I'd like to know what happens. I don't feel like on the edge of my seat about it. I mean, you know, just this thing about the first 10 pages, if it was, what would I need to see to really want to know? I mean, is Xanthi some kind of fly in the ointment who's, you know, done something? Just at that point, it was like, ooh, who's Xanthi?
It's a film.
Is it?
Film.
Oh,
right.
It's a name though as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, well,
It's a name, yeah.
It was that crossover thing, you know, where they made films out of games. It's a space game.
Right.
Film. It's about a house, and they're all in the house, and the house gets sucked up into the space, and it's very confusing.
Right.
I thought it was a person who'd maybe sort of
Me
stirred
too.
things up. But
Me too.
Yeah, I thought it was a person as well.
He would
I thought
definitely
that's
have.
interesting. That's a posh girl's name, and they're all like.
No, Xanthi, he'd have a gold earring and definitely a rat's tail.
I think while I'm thinking about this, as we all thought that Xanthi was another person, and clearly we're all wrong. I just feel there's maybe way too many characters. It's quite confusing to get your head around who's who and what each person is doing and their part in the gang, as it were, in the relationships. And I think you could cut out half of all of those characters easily and still carry it and make it much more sort of tight and draw out those friendships much better. I think there's just too many characters.
Yeah.
Erin, what are your thoughts?
Well, I like anything with flashbacks. It's just my thing. But like, I love in the funeral where Tasha hangs back, there's clearly some sort of something that happened. And, you know, it's funny when you're friends with people from childhood, but then and you're in that middle school age, but then stuff happens in high school that's different. So, you know, there's probably some sort of love story that like went wrong somewhere in there too. So that had me curious. I think that there's like, well, it's cool because there's more to the story. And I think that I'd like to see where the blanks are filled in too. I think it's interesting. I don't know. I'm interested. I think it's good, but yes, I was a little confused with all of the characters as well, but I like all the characters too. So
maybe there's a way of us getting, I mean, I know this is sounding really ridiculous, but you know, like in the good, the bad and the ugly, depending on the sort of tone of the thing, you know, they sort of show you somebody and they freeze it and they put, you know, El Bueno or something underneath it. And I just wonder whether there's some fun to be had of, you know, there being a sort of, some sort of stylistic form of introducing the different characters.
We're kind of back to Wes Anderson again in that respect.
Yeah, I guess we are, aren't we? Yeah, because I don't know whether it's going to be, you know, necessary to have all of them or not yet from the first 10 pages. But yeah, there might be some way of just, you know, kind of corralling them together and going, okay, this is this one and this is that one. Some of the descriptions are nice, like the bulky goth or whatever it was, or the bulky emo, because, you know, you always think of them as being skeletal, don't you? It's just quite nice that there's a bulky goth. There's sort of something, you know, quite pleasing about that.
Yeah. Well, and as I said this before we started recording, you've got two characters, a thug one and a girl one. And with all of the other characters named, why have you not named them?
That was what my one bone of contention. Make the whole, at the beginning, this whole thing about literally naming every other member more or less in the school, but the group of three who are imposing the beating None of them are named.
No, that's also true. Yeah.
No, we
Yeah.
hate that, don't we? Having no name.
No name.
For our character. It's,
I think, did we have a starting date as well? And a
Yeah.
But also the
location?
fact that you've got, bearing in mind this is a script, you can't have an actor who's just called Thug One and then give him a line.
Yeah.
Because once that goes on your CV, anybody looking at it is like, Thug One. So you
Yeah, he needs a
really-
name. And particularly as he's got a line,
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I mean.
he's going to get
But-
paid more than someone who hasn't got a line.
Yeah,
yeah.
He should have a
You-
name.
that's my point. You can call an extra Thug One, but you can't call like a walk on or a spoken part.
No, exactly. And I think it would be nice to have, where is this school estate?
Mm.
So
Yeah.
that we can identify accents and, you know, there's quite a huge diversity in the UK of different accents and regions. And so whereabouts is it? And where's the starting date, you know? So that we can see those kids, you know, Grange
Yeah,
Hill.
10 years.
Yeah.
Was it 10 years earlier or
2004,
20 years
The
earlier?
date of the flashbacks.
Yeah.
There's also a piece where Alec and Floyd are on the phone and it's just voice off screen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then but that's actually Floyd. So
Yeah.
It should say Floyd.
Yes.
yeah, like
It needs to be Floyd OS.
off
doesn't it?
screen,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But we'd still like to know what happens.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. What's
definitely.
happened in the interim? Yeah.
Exactly. Where is it going? Brilliant. Thank you for that.